What if it takes just a little bit of courage to rebuild the life that you always wanted to have? Friends, welcome back to the Heart Healer podcast. Today is what if it takes just a little bit of courage to rebuild the life that you always wanted to have. So anything I talk to you guys about, I am dealing with it personally. And so even when I show up here to do the podcast episodes, I have to remember to myself to show up here authentically. That's the only way that this is going to be consistent. That's the only way that I'm going to get through this thing. Right? Why? Because there's a side of me that wants to share my story, that wants to help somebody else through their middle. And I will never be able to do that in this climate without coming in front of the camera and sharing the story, leaving space for a community of people who are also dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with to find this place. It won't happen unless I show up. So, authentically, I have to deal with myself. I have to see who I am, who I want to be, and where I am going. I have to write down these things, right? Because living in this way, being this way is foreign, right? It's only something that was here in my mind, but it's foreign in my reality. It's not something that I was consistent with, that I do every day. And so writing down who I want to be and how I want to be helps me to create actionable steps so I can get it done. First things first, I have to pray. If you're here, you already know I do not leave the Lord out of my business. God is love. I don't leave love out of my business, okay? I incorporate prayer into my daily life. So what does that look like? It doesn't mean that I'm always on my knees praying. I could be stretching and praying. I could be in the shower and talking to God. It's just a conversation. And you want to have a conversation with the one who created you. Why? Because he knows specifically what I am supposed to specifically be doing in the earth. And I need to know this thing, right? So I pray to understand the truth about who I am, where I'm going, and what needs to happen presently in order for me to get there. That's why I pray. Sometimes it even looks like me writing it down in a journal. Let me show you. I have my journals. I have several of these types of journals all over the place. And I have written in them over the years. I've had this one for over 10 years. Okay. And so write it down. When you're trying to be your new self, the best version of yourself, it takes time. And you need something to remind you of where you started versus where you are and where you're going. And sometimes when you get to the next place of where you're going, you can go back and it's a reminder like, oh yeah, I am progressing. I am doing well. I am showing up for myself. Let me keep going. Okay. So that's why I pray. So you have to find the reason why you pray and incorporate it. Just, talk to the creator. So authentically showing up as myself. Now, there's a part of me that, there are two things that are happening with my own self, right? And I have to be very aware of this when I'm talking about rebuilding my life. I want to show up authentically as myself. So what does that mean? That means that when I'm having a conversation, I'm having a thought and it's off the cuff, it's spontaneous, it's really good. I say to myself, oh my gosh, I wish I was recording this because this was really good. Versus when I come in front of a camera, for some reason, I want to be scripted. I want to apply rules. I want to be poised. I want to have distinction. I want to sound intelligent. And I have to realize, listen, Sharice, you are intelligent. You are poised. You have decency and decorum and tact. But you also are sarcastic and witty and goofy and playful and comedic. You are these things. So you don't have to be this or that. Showing up authentically is a balanced life. And it's not putting on airs for validation from anybody that sees this who, wants to critique it in a negative way. No. When I show up genuinely as myself, I honor who I am. I honor what the Creator has made. I honor my progress. I honor the journey that I'm on to rebuild my life. That's it. I do those things. And now I can look at the different areas, which there only are a few, okay? Spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, financially. That's it. When I am honoring myself, I can now go into these different areas, these 5 areas, and I can look at them honestly and assess myself honestly and say, okay, listen, I want to rebuild in this area. What do I need to do? I want to rebuild spiritually. What do I need to do? Okay, I'm going to start praying every morning to start my day. Okay, emotionally, what am I going to do? I'm going to make sure that I'm honoring my emotional self. I'm going to journal. I'm going to work out. I'm going to eat right, right? Mentally, what am I going to do? I'm going to have a therapy session every month. Physically, what am I going to do? Working out is one thing, but I'm also going to apply my hand to the work that I'm supposed to be doing in the earth, the specific thing. I'm going to apply my hand to that. Maybe if I don't know what that is, I'm going to build up on my knowledge. I'm going to build up on the areas that I'm strong. I'm going to assess the areas where I'm weak. I'm going to build up in the areas where I'm weak. I'm going to get around a community that can help me do that. Financially, what am I going to do? I'm going to assess my finances. Am I good with money? Do I need to get some life plans together, like some insurances, right? Do I need to put some whole life insurance, some IUL insurances together, right? A high yield savings account together, an investment account together, some mutual funds. Do I need to pay down credit card? I'm going to be honest with myself in these areas. Now, I can't do that if I am not real about my situation. I have to be real with myself. That's how I honor the journey of rebuilding. That's how I honor my progress. That's how I honor what the Creator has made. I am good. I am good. When the Creator made me, He looked at me and He said, "This is good. She is good." I want to stay in that mindset. Now, other things are going to come along. Distractions are going to come along to try and tell me that I'm not good, that I messed up, with my money in this area, that I'm not spiritually tapped in the way I want to be, that mentally I'm just not clear on what I'm supposed to be doing. All these little distractions are going to come in. But if I'm honest with my assessment, then I have tools in place. I need a therapy visit right now. And I'm going to implement my tools to keep honoring my journey. And that's the name of the game. Now, if your environment it's in itself, like wherever you are, does not foster that. And when I say environment, I'm not talking about your external environment, because inwardly, if this environment is good, as long as this environment is operating under right identity, then you can change the environment on the outside. Whatever is operating within you can change the external environment. As long as you have peace here, then you will have peace outwardly, because you know that you do not operate on the world's level. No, no, no. You move independently from the world. You have an internal environment that is operating on a different frequency. And that's what you need to concentrate on. That's the part of you that you need to pay attention to. All right. So, we're going to pray. We're going to write down what we want to do, and then we're going to get to getting it done. So, for example, what do I want to do? I want to share my story. I want to talk with others. I want to build a community. I want to have a conversation with people who are rebuilding their lives. Okay, at any age. This thing is not an age thing. We have already seen that age does not matter. You have men and women who are 70 years old, 80 years old, lifting weights, looking phenomenal. This is not an age thing. This is not a gender thing. This is an internal awareness that the way your life is right now, the lifestyle that you currently live, financial class aside, you know that the lifestyle that you currently live does not fulfill you. You are living a life of unfulfillment, undesirable, unheard, unaligned. And you are trying to get back in step. You are trying to connect with your divine self, your highest self. That's the people that I'm talking to. That's the community that we're building here. Now, if you're like, well, I don't know if I'm fully tapped into what you're saying, Shatrice, just assess your own life. Look at your relationships. Are you unheard in your relationships? Do you feel undesirable within your own self? Do you feel undesirable within your own self? What does that mean? That means that you can get dressed up and you can go to an event of some kind. And even though you're around beautiful people and the work that they're doing is phenomenal and you want to be a part of it, within yourself, you do not feel that you are desirable. Whether it's in your aesthetics or it's in your, conversation, or if it's in your lifestyle, maybe you have some shame around your life. Do you feel desirable? Do you feel heard when you say that you want to do a certain thing or you're working on a certain project and your environment, they're just not listening, not supportive? Do you feel heard by God, the creator? Do you feel heard by yourself? Assess your own self. It starts internally. Once I realized that working as an IT consultant, traveling the world, making good coin. Once I did that for a while, and the luxury of traveling, staying at hotels in different cities and countries, states, the novelty of that wore off. Now I'm left with the truth of the matter, which is this thing is not really bringing me fulfillment. I've learned something about myself. I've learned that I enjoy teaching, which is what I did as an IT consultant, right? I enjoy teaching. However, I don't enjoy the traveling as much, like the little traveling to do the work. No, no, no. I don't enjoy that part. I don't enjoy being on someone else's schedule. I don't enjoy when the hotel is not nice and I don't have a choice how to change it. I have to do what the client has contracted me to do. I don't like those little parts. I want to decide different experiences that I'm having. And I'm not feeling fulfilled anymore. I'm not feeling connected to the work. When I make my assessment of what can change to make this work more efficient, to make it more proficient and practical, I'm not feeling heard in my work. I'm feeling pigeonholed. And so there needs to be a change here. Okay, so I'm not feeling fulfilled in work anymore. So now I pray and I say, Lord, help me to understand the truth about this situation and myself as I am experiencing this thing. And the beauty of this, the pandemic came along, and the pandemic actually gave the whole world the opportunity to stop. And it allowed me the opportunity to pivot, to get back to the truth of who I was, the part of me that I fully enjoyed, that didn't need coaxing. And what was that? I loved writing. I was a writer. I loved teaching, but what am I teaching on? What am I doing? I love God, but I'm not able to share it on the level that I want to share it on, you know? And so, how can I incorporate these things into my life so that way the truth of who I am, the part that resonates, that allows my glow up, that allows my frequency, energy to resonate all over the place, that thing that gets joy from teaching on this level, how can I be true to her? How can I be authentic? How can I connect fully with her? And then I had to allow the transition. Now, when you're dealing with God, when God is dealing with you, the measures and the means by which he uses to transition you, to press you, to crush you, to make you aware, to bring you into authenticity, that varies. Okay, there's no blanket answer to that. That varies. And for me, he just pull the rug from under me. Now, it was a slow pull, okay? So the work, my IT work, it just started to decrease. I wasn't getting the calls as I normally would. I wasn't locking in the contracts as big as I did in the past. And so I saw that the work was slowing down. Okay, so what does this do? This gives me an opportunity to tap into what he's telling me to do, which is to what? To write. Well, I haven't written in a long time. I've been adulting so long that I forgot my true thing, but he gives me time to do that. Okay, so now, Lord, do I publish it? No. Keep writing. You're not ready yet. Keep writing. So now I keep writing. Okay, now I don't just have one book, I have 3 books. Okay, that's nice. I find an old journal. In fact, this same journal that I showed you, I found an old journal where in 2010 I wrote down that I was going to write 3 books. I even wrote the titles of the 3 books that I was going to write. Go figure. Go figure. And now I complete them. How much years later? Over 10 years later. 10 years later, God brings me back to the original thought, the one that I had before adulting, took over my whole life. So the means that he uses, it varies. There's no blanket answer for that. You just have to pay attention to how the Holy Spirit is guiding you to get you back to that place. Now, is it going to be easy? No. Does it hurt? Sometimes, most times, it is not a nice feeling. It is not a nice feeling. And then it also allowed me to see certain areas of my life where there was weakness, right? So, for example, financially, I could have sat down freely to do this writing, to present myself, to tap into what I wanted to do had I had the financial setup done right originally. But instead, I had a little stress because now the income is going. I did do well, but I didn't do as well as I could have. So between the pandemic and between my emotional self taking over my financial decisions, I was depleted. And so now there's a level of stress that I'm taking on because I'm transitioning, but I didn't do what I need to do fully in the beginning. So you have to make room while you're rebuilding and you're becoming aware and you're making assessments. You have to leave room to really see yourself and sit with that and be okay that, oh, I made a mistake. I didn't do well here. I didn't honor my financial gain here. I said yes too many times when I should have said no. I purchased things too many times when I shouldn't have. I should have not been afraid and stepped fully into the financial responsibility. Right? Especially when you're the head of your house and your one income. Some of us, our one income takes care of the family. And it's not just like your husband or your wife or your children. It's like your mother, your father. You kind of are the financial backer of your family. Even in that, how you show up in the roles that you play in the lives of others, all of these things have to be brought to your attention. And then once you're aware, you find practical tools to change that. I had to get a therapist. Now, having a therapist did not negate God out of my life. No, having a therapist gave me language for the blind spots, for the things that I wasn't really aware of. And now I could bring it to God and be like, okay, now I understand what you're saying. But here, I surrender it to you. So let's fix it now. That's what it is. So rebuilding your life is going to take time. But if you have just a little courage every day, implement it to show up. Show up in your life in these small areas. Don't take on the big pie of life. No, no, no. Break it down spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, financially. How can I show up more authentically? And then write down some actionable steps that you can take, natural, practical things that you're going to do. And then you get to the work. So that's what this podcast is really about. That's what we're going to talk about, how to rebuild. How to rebuild, because I see that there's so many of us that are living less than how we really are supposed to live. We're not living in abundance. We're not living this life showing up as people who belong to like a big God. God is so big. He's so dope. Look how he made your body. Look how he made you aesthetically. Look at all the little things that he put together. The sun, your bone, tissues, the ability for your body to heal itself. He's so big. He's so dope. He's so expansive. Of course, he has something major for you to do. And major doesn't mean like change, the world. It could be just like change your world, change your community. Let's just break things down on a small level, make it simple, make it easy. And then let's go about the business of doing it. Let's connect here. A community of people are here and waiting for you to receive you, to help you along your journey to rebuild. So I'll see you on the next podcast episode. Enjoy your day.